Thanks very much for staying with us. Time now for Eye on Africa with me, Georgia Calvin-Smith. Tonight, striking doctors in Kenya still hold out after more than a month and a half of industrial action. They're calling for better pay, staffing and conditions that they say are essential to improving the country's overall health infrastructure. Also, Jacob Zuma may not yet have a completely free and clear run-up to next month's election, as his new MK party has to deny allegations that it forged signatures to be on the ballot. And known locally as the Menzang, the xylophone has a small but dedicated following in Cameroon. We hit up a festival dedicated to its sounds in Yaoundé that's attracted aficionados from across the continent. But first, Kenyan doctors and the government still haven't reached an agreement after almost 50 days of crippling strikes. About 7,000 health professionals, including medics, pharmacists and dentists, walked off the job in mid-March, accusing the government of dragging its feet over implementing a 2017 deal meant to improve pay and conditions. Thousands took to the streets again on Tuesday. Our Olivia Bizot reports.
Hundreds of healthcare workers are once again taking to the streets of Nairobi. They've been on strike since mid-March. They want better pay, they want better working conditions, and they want more doctors to be hired into the system, especially young doctors who, after years of training, are still struggling to find permanent work. Protesters here are also angry over the plans to cut the salaries of interns who, for the past 7 years, have been earning the equivalent of 1,400 euros. The government now wants to decrease that salary to the equivalent of 400 euros.
I feel cheated. I feel robbed, actually, because it's the same government that's taking school fees at very high rates. They cannot come out and say they are reducing the salary for the whole medical field. They'll start with the interns, the most vulnerable. And that's why our seniors are standing with us in solidarity.
Our cycle is on the 48th day. We expect that they will now start hearing our voice, because they have been turning a deaf ear to what we have been requesting or asking as our right.
This isn't the first time that healthcare workers have gone on strike in Kenya. Back in 2017, doctors went on strike for 100 days. Eventually, union leaders signed an agreement with the government, which addressed a lot of the issues that they're talking about today, including a maximum number of hours, promotions, and of course, pay. But today, these strikers are saying that all of those changes still haven't been registered or implemented.
Mali's security forces say that they've killed a key Islamic State group commander in an operation in the north of the country over the weekend. Abu Huseifa, known by the alias of Higo, is believed to have been behind the 2017 assault in Niger, in which 8 troops from Niger and the US were killed. Colonel Simi Goita, who's run Mali since it underwent a second coup in 2021, has vowed to ramp up a nationally and regionally led pushback against an extremist insurgency. And it looks like former South African President Jacob Zuma may not yet have a completely free and clear run-up to the May 29th election. The camp he's representing, the new MK party, has denied allegations reportedly made by a former member that it forged signatures needed to officially secure a place in the race. A criminal complaint has been lodged, and Wenzel tells us more.
Jacob Zuma and his Umkhonto weSizwe party are in the middle of a storm. On one hand, the party is in the throes of some serious aftershocks following revelations that senior leaders, including co-founder Jabulani Khumalo, have been thrown out after allegations that a significant number of the 15,000 signatures which the MKP presented to the IEC in order to be registered as a political party were forgeries. It is also claimed that the purge leaders had held secret meetings with the ANC. Khumalo also allegedly raised funds for the MK party, which then never actually made it to the party. And while the party is rearranging its leadership, member number 1, Jacob Zuma, may yet again be kicked off the party nomination list, as the IEC is appealing the Electoral Court's decision to allow Zuma to remain on the ballot. The IEC had originally ruled that Zuma could not be nominated because of his sentence for contempt of court. The Electoral Court had overruled them, saying he could remain on the list. But with the IEC's appeal, a Constitutional Court ruling is expected on the 10th of May.
In other news, diphtheria is a disease caused by toxin-producing bacteria. In severe cases, it can be deadly, and it's currently seeing an historic resurgence in West Africa, which has seen more than 16,000 cases since mid-May and 800 deaths in Nigeria alone. Guinea, Mauritania and Niger are amongst the other countries in the region to have seen some alarming outbreaks. Our correspondent tells us more.
Nobody should be dying from diphtheria in 2024. The disease, which mostly affects the upper respiratory tract, is easily preventable through vaccination. And yet there have been more than 1,000 deaths on the continent since May last year, mostly in West Africa. The main reason, according to this expert from the NGO Médecins Sans Frontières, is low vaccination rates caused by political instability.
Imagine you are the mother of a child under 11 months. Today is the day your child needs to get vaccinated against diphtheria because he is 2 months. Just as you are getting ready to go and vaccinate your child, you hear gunshots all around. You feel like you are in danger. You have a choice to make. Either go and vaccinate your child or protect your child's life and your own life. Naturally, most mothers try to protect the life of their child by fleeing war and insecurity.
This, of course, means that large numbers of children haven't received a full course of vaccination, making outbreaks more likely. There is an antitoxin which can be used to treat diphtheria, but the pharmaceutical companies that produce it have scarcely scaled up production since the outbreak of epidemics in various countries on the African continent last year.
Well, Congolese President Félix Tshisekedi held a joint press conference with his French counterpart here in Paris on Tuesday. It saw French leader Emmanuel Macron calling on Rwanda to stop its support of the M23 rebels who've been terrorizing DR Congo's east. Tens of thousands of people have been displaced in recent fighting since the M23 took up arms again in 2021 after an 8-year hiatus. And they're not the only ones to have been pressuring communities in eastern DR Congo over the years. However, UN peacekeepers who've been operating there for the last 25 years are pulling out on the order of Kinshasa. Local police officers are due to step in, but that, some fear, is unlikely to be an easy transition.
Broken down doors and locks, looted electrical systems, dilapidated walls. 2 months after the departure of Pakistani peacekeepers, this former military base looks more like a squat than a police station.
I've been sleeping on floorboards for 2 months. Am I a human or an animal? I sleep here on the plank. What did the UN mission leave behind? Nothing.
After 25 years on the ground, the Congolese authorities argue that the 15,000 or so blue helmets deployed to defend civilians, humanitarian personnel and human rights defenders are ineffective against armed groups and called for the troops to leave the country. Against the backdrop of renewed violence in the east, police officers are sent to replace them but are left to fend for themselves.
A policeman who has a car but doesn't have fuel, how's that supposed to work? When there's an intervention somewhere, how are we going to get around that? That's a problem.
Public opinion over the MONUSCO mission is divided. Last year, violent anti-UN demonstrations were severely repressed by the Congolese army, leaving dozens of people dead. But in the South Kivu province, some still feel like they benefited from the mission's presence.
We young people from Kamanyola really liked MONUSCO. They had no problem with us. We used to do odd jobs around the base and got rations or lunch in exchange. But since they left, nothing. I'm really disappointed.
In January, Kinshasa called for a full withdrawal of MONUSCO troops by the end of this year. Meanwhile, the UN Security Council has not yet set a deadline.
And known locally as the Mensang, the xylophone has a small but dedicated following in Cameroon. A festival dedicated to its sound has just wrapped up, and our team sent us this report.
The air trumped with sounds of traditional music during the opening ceremony of the International Xylophone Festival in Yaoundé. Held at Club Noah on the outskirts of the capital of Cameroon, it captivated audiences who watched as xylophone virtuosos competed against each other. 17-year-old Amani has been playing the instrument since childhood.
We've had the xylophone at home since I was very young. I just immersed myself in the instrument since it was already in my environment. From time to time, I tried it out, and one day I could do it.
This third edition of the Yaoundé International Xylophone Festival drew musicians from all over the world, including big names like Mali's Mustapha Dembele. The festival also offered up compositions that fused traditional African music and jazz. A mix of that went down with even the most experienced listeners.
There are some talented young xylophone players here in Cameroon, and we're really working together to restore the image people have of this instrument. The xylophone is really important in Africa. It's part of our tradition.
Hilaire Pankwi is a driving force behind the festival. He is a passionate fan of the xylophone and fears that the instrument's waning popularity in Africa means its rich sounds risk falling silent.
The xylophone risks disappearing if we do nothing. This is because it's being gradually overshadowed. In a few years' time, if we don't do something to protect our own culture, it will practically disappear.
Although it is recognized by UNESCO as part of humanity's intangible cultural heritage, the xylophone is not very popular with contemporary African youth. The festival is doing what it can to turn up the volume on the ancestral instrument.
Well, that's it for Eye on Africa for now. Thanks for joining us, though, and do so again if you can. Till then, take care.